who's a member of parliament as well, and of course the Minister for Works and Housing. And he joins us this morning. We are fortunate to be having ministers join us back to back on the Asaase Breakfast Show. Yesterday it was the Deputy Minister for Finance. Today it is the Minister for Works and Housing. Hon.Boakye Asensoba, you are welcome to the Asaase Breakfast Show.
Thank you very much, Benjamin.
And it's good to have you here. I mean, this should be your first time in the studio.
This is my first time, and you have a very beautiful studio.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very experienced anchors here too.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We are happy to have you.
Yeah.
I think that the last time I met you was during a certain housing summit held at Labadi, where I moderated the conversations, where you were a keynote speaker there. But I mean, the conversation has not changed. It is still housing. It's still the concerns around the availability and affordability of same, and especially within the urban regions. We see that yesterday you launched the National Affordable Housing Program, and also you broke grounds for the construction of the Pokwase Affordable Housing Project. Let's go back to basics. In terms of the housing deficits that we have in the country right now, what are the numbers as we speak?
At the last census report in 2021, it said that we are in deficit of 1.8 million housing units.
1.8 million housing units,
yes.
Which is supposed to be taking care of how many persons, how many inhabitants?
Well, if you have an average of 2-person household, 3-person household, that would be times 3. Yeah, because you can do the mathematics.
Which is about 5.6 or so, or I think 5.4. 5.4 people not having housing unit. That's really a problem. And so for us as a country, and you leading the pack at the ministry, what is our strategy in dealing with this deficit as we have it?
Okay, so thank you very much once again, and let me take this opportunity to greet your listeners. I don't know whether I'm also live.
We are live in Accra, in Kumasi, in Tamale, Cape Coast, all on Asaase.
To say hello to my constituents.
Yes.
In
Bantama, Florida. That's right. That's right.
So, you see, housing is one of the charter, which housing is one of the 3 basic needs of man. So it's a very important issue that is central to human life. Yeah. So government, especially this second term, is prioritizing housing with a view to reducing the housing deficit. Over the years, successive governments have had opportunity to introduce housing programs. Unfortunately, they didn't achieve the expected outcomes. In the Fourth Republic, President John Ajikunkufo initiated a national affordable housing program with a view to constructing 5,000 housing units in 6 different towns of the country. It's something that I believe that he did not think through the funding very well, and the concept also very well. And as a result, when he left office, it was very easy for the next government to abandon it, if you like, because you could say that there was no funds for it. Saglemi was, by the NDC, started under President John Atamils and later President Mahama, where I'm sure Saglemi is very controversial. We go into details.
Yes.
That also did not achieve the expected results. So we at the ministry, when I assumed office, decided to look at why it failed and realized that we failed initially to look at the entire ecosystem of housing, the various components that makes housing delivery successful. Availability of land, sustainable funding, credible mortgage regime, and a whole lot of others that are very important. It didn't look at that. And also in the previous ones, it was barely government doing everything. Okay. I mean, if you go to the advanced countries, it's not government that necessarily build the houses. You know, at the very least, government supports the private sector for them to build. So we look at all this and realize that we can do a lot better than we've done in the past. We look at what is happening in other African countries. We realize that it is important that we work with the private sector. First of all, we were confronted with statistics that the president mentioned yesterday, that 60% of Ghanaians require some sort of government support to be able to access housing. 35% of us, even with government support or the support of the state, cannot. But just 5% of Ghanaians are able to. So we saw that then it means that the 60% who are primarily the working class, nurses, doctors, and all that, traders.
Some traders, yeah.
Exactly. Government has to find a way to support them to be able to access the house. And you look at the various components, cost components of housing construction. Land is key. Infrastructure, provision of water, electricity,
sewage systems,
all these. Between land and horizontal infrastructure alone can constitute up to 40% of the cost. But realize that land, government has some land, public land. So we decided to leverage on that.
Yeah.
And the infrastructure is pretty much government responsibility anyway. Government is building roads, extending electricity,
the utilities.
So why don't we leverage on that so that it will reduce the construction cost? So that once that the land and the service land already, the private sector coming to
just put up the structures.
You build with its own funds and sell. Of course, government can facilitate, help with the sale, but they will do its marketing and everything. So with this new program, which is we call the Revised Affordable Housing Program, that is the main thrust of it. The government is subsidizing with the land and the infrastructure that the private sector gets built.
And so maybe you want to add briefly before I come in. You are going to.
So this is the new
strategy,
and that is what is happening. That's the prevailing strategy of housing development in many parts of Africa where they are doing well. South Africa, Egypt, Cote d'Ivoire, Morocco, where you see a lot of private developments happening for affordable housing, but with the state support, exactly, making it difficult, easy for the price to go down. Because the idea is that if it gets down by this 40%, then it becomes
more affordable
for many people. I must be quick to add that the fact that we are subsidizing it for the price to go down does not necessarily mean everybody
can buy. Of course, I mean, you already provided the statistics about a certain percentage, even with government support, they still cannot.
And even there will be different levels of capacities.
Exactly.
So even those 60%, some can afford. I mean, with time, there are areas that we can look at. For instance, one of the reasons why houses are expensive in this country is because of the input costs. The raw materials are all imported. Clinker, cement, iron rods, all the finishing in this country, they are all imported.
The tiling,
and how are you going to be able to make it affordable when you have to, even the shipping cost alone?
Yeah.
And you know the effect of this COVID and Russian war on Ukraine has brought on transportation costs, global transportation costs. It's huge. So that is basically what we are looking at. We're looking at a situation where we can have the opportunity to develop some of the
materials,
raw materials, or they call building materials.
Yes.
And that is why we have made it an integral part of this new affordable housing project.
To
make sure that a good component of the cost come from the
local producers. Good.
And therefore, we are insisting that they have to use bent bricks as
the material,
or one of the materials.
Okay.
The idea is that, you see, as we speak, even though the bent bricks are produced here, they are still expensive because the industry is not developed. The reason why it's not developed because people do not have the taste
for
to
them.
use the local bent
bricks.
Exactly. So one of the things that we are doing is to sensitize people that indeed the local bricks are good for your housing construction. I mean, the examples abound. For instance, when you use local bricks, you don't even need an air condition. You live in, I don't know. You look at about you probably.
I do.
Having seen
Atakpame.
Not Atakpame. Cooler. Do you know cooler?
Really?
We used to.
Oh yeah, I know cooler.
Cooler.
Yes.
Water cooler.
Yes.
That you use the mud.
My grandfather called it ehina.
Ehina. Exactly. Ehina.
Exactly.
Anyway, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
So that's the same concept. You see, when you put water in,
yes, it cools it.
Exactly. That's how it is.
Yeah,
and there are several benefits from the use of we get from the use of the local, including even the ambience. Yeah, exactly. So we are, by this project, insisting on that. We want to sensitize people to tell them that, hey, this is good. Let us, if government has been able to use it for affordable housing program, then we can also use for our individual projects and all that, with a view to creating the demand for it, so that the suppliers too can invest in it, and once there's demand, there's supply. You can supply.
There's a market which will be created for it domestically.
So that's what I want to explain.
Great. So Honorable, and we'll be going into the various details. We'll break them down, and I'm happy that you've gone that elaborate. It sets the conversation in good perspective. So a few things I'm hearing you say, this master plan provides, which is different from the previous attempts at dealing with the issue. There's a bit more of an integrated approach, and so we are having the issues of land dealt with, ensuring that there are the various services provided, so that it's pretty much plug and play for the various developers who are going to be coming in. Also, you are doing this as a public-private partnership, and so it's not just the government expending itself on this project, and you're also looking at carbon efficiencies. And so you are, in terms of your choice of materials, you are using the bent bricks and among other things that you raise, and of course the transportation services and the sewage treatment plant. You see, and Honorable, it sounds very beautiful and very believable as well. But previous master plans have also sounded very believable and beautiful. How are we going to ensure that in terms of execution, because on a number of occasions we've had beautiful plans laid out, contracting had been done, yet the execution does not get to be completed, especially from the side of the contractors. How is this going to be different from those other previous situations?
This will be different because before the Ministry of Finance committed to financing this, they made sure that thorough feasibility studies were done, which is a requirement for this PPP, private-public
partnership
arrangement. And they made sure that this feasibility study, when we got a consultant to do it, they assembled a team of experts to look at it and establish the viability. Okay, funding it. Once government is able to provide its part, which the Ministry of Finance has indicated, even this year alone, they've budgeted a good amount for the infrastructure for this. The private sector, who many of them are very credible, Def Traco, State Housing, these are people, big players in the market, who already doing that without government support.
And you, because you mentioned some, let me just go through, and I'm looking at the profile of the various developers. There's Rehoboth Properties Limited, there's State Housing Company, there's Def Traco, there's Frank Paul's Ventures, and there's Adoha Group.
Yeah. So these are very credible. They are doing their own development even without government support. Okay, even at places that are far away from town. This Boakye Asensoba project is right after the interchange. You're right, on your way to Isawo. Strategic location, very attractive. So there's no way that they will not want to invest there to recoup their investment.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So obviously, when you look at all the parameters, this is far better, better plan. And of course, you're not doing just to denigrate the past programs. Of course, you have had the benefits of hindsight. Look at what they did and try to improve upon it. So that's how development planning should mean.
Yeah, and Honorable, so on the issue of contracting, and you've spoken about the reputation of these developers. They've been doing this for a while, so this won't be new to them. However, when it comes to commitment to specific projects, also in terms of contracting to secure yourself, to ensure that you as the government, having expended yourself, provided the facilities, they on the other part would have certain timelines where they are going to be executing these units. Do you have those kinds of details captured in the contracts that you have?
All that captured. You have all that figured out.
So what duration are we expecting these units to have been completed?
Well, the plan is that if all things being equal, by the 10th of next year, it should complete about half of the units. That's
by the end of 2024.
Exactly.
At least 4,000 of the units should be ready and ready to be provided to occupants. So that's the timelines, and these details are captured in their contract. Failing that, are there any remedies to the state?
Termination clauses if you are not able to meet certain deadlines and all that. Yeah, these are very details that I don't think that is what the public would like to know, but this is captured.
So you see, the reason this is relevant for the public, because before this conversation, we've had a number of callers come through this morning when we're doing a news review, and Saglemi is cited multiple times. And one of the things we learned from the Saglemi issue was the fact that even the contract amount, although fully expended, the construction per the plan had not been completed.
We'll come to that. But what I'm saying is that the Saglemi concept is totally different from this. The Saglemi was a turnkey project that been given a contract to a contractor to build for government. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And for government to figure out how to sell it and all that. That is totally different from the prevailing strategy I've just presented.
Yes.
This one, government is not the one going. They are not building for government. They are building to sell.
Yes, okay. Honorable, I think
exactly.
Yeah, that's very clear.
It is important that we don't compare the two apples and oranges.
Yes.
They are not the same.
Yes, they are clearly not the same.
Exactly.
They are clearly not the same.
So this one, even though they are coming to build and sell, because of government's investment in it.
Yes.
First of all, even the price is something that we agree on with them. They cannot
sell above
that
good.
Silly. Exactly. And also we also make sure that they meet these deadlines in the contract.
Beautiful.
Exactly.
So about the pricing, and that's where for a lot of people, when they consider the affordability, that's so they crack and they say send me here. How many different housing, in terms of the occupancies do we have? Are we going to be having single bedroom, double or two bedroom, three bedrooms?
Three different housing typologies.
Okay.
The first is a one bedroom.
Okay.
A two bedroom.
Okay.
And a three bedroom. The pricing, as we stated here in Dallas, and one can understand why. I know a lot of people have expressed concern why we have to quote it in Dallas.
Yes.
I'm just trying to be as realistic as possible, because if you don't do it that way, it affects planning. You know what I'm saying? Because today, once the dollar changes, it affects the local but just for purposes of planning, so that tomorrow when I go to a different station, I won't state another price.
Okay.
Yeah, but they are not going to be charging dollars. They are going to pay in cedis, the equivalent of what is stated here.
Okay.
So these are figures that we agreed based on their
with the developers.
And nobody can sell above this.
Okay.
But each developer can decide to sell even what we say. If you say 20,000 here, the developer can say I'm selling for 15,000 because he might have different inputs.
Yes.
Technology,
which may increase their efficiency.
Increase the efficiency and reduce
their cost.
So they can sell it. And to be competitive, they also want to reduce it so that you know what I'm saying?
They can get them off.
Exactly. So that's the ceiling price. But I know a lot of people are saying that 20,000 for 1 bedroom.
Yeah. So for 1 bedroom is 20,000.
Yes.
Okay. So the 1 bedroom, what does it come with? Is it a bedroom, a hall, a kitchen, 1 bathroom?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just one of those. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, I think it's 48 square meters, according to the information that I found listed on one site. 48 square meters of floor space, and as you say, Honourable, $20,700. I noticed you didn't mention the option of studio flats as house types, which is
that studios are not part of it.
They're not part of the original. Okay, but perhaps in future projects you may incorporate the studio model.
Look at the demand for it, whether it's something that
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the Ministry of Works and Housing site does state quite clearly that the amounts are payable in Ghana cedis at the prevailing Bank of Ghana exchange rate, as you say.
Okay. And then we move to the 2-unit facilities as well. What are the prices quoted for those ones?
That's 34,500.
34,000. And then the 3-bedroom
is 42,550.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but you realize that if you compare it with the fair market value for that same area, that same property, will cost for 1 bedroom will cost $33,000.
Oh, so savings of at least 13,000.
Yeah, and
dollars.
Maybe someone should do the mathematics for me.
The prevailing rate.
The subsidy, the reduction.
Yes, the reduction. Yes, about $13,000.
Yeah. And I know some people are concerned that it's still high. Of course, we appreciate that, but it's a good step. Next time, as we working hard to introduce local raw materials, okay, and helping to reduce the cost, we'll be able to bring it down on the next project that we are looking at.
And we remember when the unfortunate situation that happened at Apiate did occur. We remember that some of the rebuilding of that town, the bent bricks was the model which was used, and it moved pretty fast. And so there's a whole market to be created out of this. And listening to the Minister of Finance, creating local capacity is one of the ways that we intend to get out of this economic situation that we currently find ourselves in. So in terms of pricing, we are talking 20,000 USD for 1 bedroom unit, 30 what for the 34,500 for 2 bedroom units, and
42,550
for the 3 bedroom. So can people, what's the purchase or the marketing arrangement like? I'm sure it will be done by the developers.
Yes.
However, can people now pre-finance and pay to secure facilities ahead of it?
They can buy off plan. Yeah, yesterday, even during the lunch, the State Housing MD was telling me that already they have put out their marketing plans out.
Okay. So the advertisements are out.
So already people have expressed interest and people have started showing commitment to just even before the launch, he told me. So they are going to handle their own marketing. If you are interested, you call them. There is a facility at the Ministry of Finance.
Good. We're coming to that.
That's why I said there is the demand side arrangement too. Ministry of Finance has a facility called Home Ownership Fund. that they work with the banks to subsidize mortgage, so that the interest rate to go down.
Yes.
For people to access it.
Yeah.
Okay. So it requires a counterpart funding from government. Okay, to subsidize the mortgage. Yeah. So now you're able to use that to purchase about 10% of the 8,000 housing units, so people can take advantage of that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. So how does that how does it work? So is it that the Ministry of Finance is making available these funds at a certain reduced rate to existing financial institutions, so that a blended interest rate is determined?
Exactly.
Okay. Which are the partnering banks or financial institutions involved in this?
I know Republic Bank is one of them.
Okay.
I'll get
the list
before you close.
Okay. So we can get that full details. GCB Bank is part. Okay.
One of them. And I think
EcoBank as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's one of them. But
I mean, for avoidance of doubt, we'll just get your team to provide that full detail to us, so we can. Because for us, I mean, a lot of the people who listen to us are on the demand side, who are looking at how they can buy this, and so exactly how they can access it is very core to us.
We are also in active engagement with the unions.
Okay, the trade unions.
The Nurses Association, Doctors Association, Teachers Association, traders. Yesterday at the program, Guta came there with a bus load of members. Yes, they are interested in fact, some of them were saying that we should actually give everything to them.
Yeah.
They want to buy everything.
They could invest in the development of almost.
So
businessmen will grow well.
But they are working.
Yes.
They are making good money.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's that expression of interest on the part of I mean, ensuring that we do not find ourselves in the Saglemi issue. I think it's important that we go back to some of the learnings there. One of the key things we found out with Saglemi is the absence of sewage systems, which you have clearly provided for. You are setting it up right from the onset. I see from the document here that you are going to have a sewage treatment facility. What exactly will be going into that kind of detail? Are we going to be converting into, for instance, biogas and all of those kinds of things?
I wish the technical people were
but
it's been kept taken care of. That's what is important.
And you know, again,
try not to let me go into
much of the technicalities,
because that's not what people want to hear. You want to hear how people, they can access it, how the government arrive at this decision, and how it will help them.
But I would say, just in addition to that, the amenities or the add-on features are also important. So the idea of waste treatment and a waste holding bay. I understand you're also going to have a school, clinic, shops, recreational space for children. It's going to be important for the kinds of people who might move out there, who might have young families that they're raising.
Playing ground, swimming pool, basketball, shops. What we have done is that per their design, the base of these apartment blocks are going to be used as shops, commercial
the ground floor level.
Yeah, the ground floor for women's salons, so that you can take care of your hair.
Of course, we can go and cut our hair as well. Yes,
and you know, all manner of convenient shops, so that it makes it easy for you to live there.
So it's accommodation, but in a way there's an element of mixed use, so that it makes it a livable environment. Because some people might ask that with the positioning, and particularly the thing to do with housing demand. I think recent studies have shown that the urbanized population of Ghana is something in the region of 54%. The majority 58 now. Wow. And the majority of those living in Accra and Kumasi, as you might imagine. There are other conurbations such as Tema, of course, on which there is huge pressure of housing. As you said, there's 60% of the population also that have the particular difficulty of accessing the means to buy themselves. They might have a little bit of money put aside, but given the general market prices, they can't afford a house. So what model is there to particularly address the urban problem? Is there an element where your choice of your 5 partner companies to go into partnership with is based on the kinds of housing they build? Are there, for instance, experts in high-density housing, people who are going to build blocks of flats rather than the 1- and 2-bedroom standalone houses that we've been talking about?
These housing units are apartment units, and as you rightly mentioned, the way the population is growing in the city center, it is important that we make optimum use of the very limited land available in the city center, and that is why we are doing apartment units. So we took that into consideration. In fact, the ministry recognizes that is going to be the kind of housing typology that we'll be experiencing in the urban centers, and we even started thinking of regulatory framework to regulate that phenomenon. Looking at what do you call it? High-rise buildings, of course, it's not something that is...
It's not something that many Ghanaians are used to. It's not our culture of accommodation.
We have no choice. Now, if you go to South Africa, if you go to Egypt, now we have lots of high-rising buildings for affordable housing. So very soon we'll be coming up with a regulatory regime to even regulate that practice.
There have to be standards to do with how the environment is kept, noise making, all sorts of things about the shared living space.
Shared living space.
But for this initial 203 acres, the focus is going to be on small houses, standalone 1, 2, and 3 bedroom.
No.
Oh no, so some of them are going to be in blocks.
All of them.
All of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
All of them.
Okay.
You cannot accommodate 8,000 housing units on the 203 acres. If you have to be building
standalone units.
You can tell I have no idea of maths there, don't you? So the aerial pictures, some of them of the site, make it look like it's not already up against a built environment. So is this the actual Boakye site that you initiated yesterday? Is there potential for expansion in the same area, or will you be looking to other sites? Of course, there's the one in the Ashanti region in Asaase.
We will look at other sites. But for now, as far as Boakye is concerned, the land that we currently have is what we have available.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, there are other adjoining land, but it belongs to other people. Whether the family or for government project or yes. But we are looking at other areas. I normally don't want to talk about stuff when I'm not ready to. But we are actively talking to, for instance, the Ministry of Lands for a 2,000-acre land towards the Sewam area. Once we get that and we're able to build infrastructure, that's why we are building a whole new town there.
2,000 acres.
Yeah, a whole new town. So we have a lot of plans. Yeah, and not only in Accra, in other parts of the country. We are even looking at rental accommodation, especially in the district capitals. Many of our professionals, nurses, teachers, are posted to these communities because of lack of accommodation. They don't even want to go.
Yes,
and it's creating a lot of human capacity deficit situation in these communities. We have a program for district housing. I don't announce it yet, but it's something that we are looking into.
Well, you just did.
Honorable, you said it now.
No, don't announce it yet, because we haven't secured the funding yet.
Okay,
but we have started the process.
I mean, it's in the works.
Planning to work.
It's in the works.
Looking at a lot of things. Yeah.
That's great. And someone is asking a question on Facebook. Eunice Champoma is asking if they are left in the blocks for those who may need them. And of course, I mean, all of the units you are building them as high-rise.
This buildings. One, there will be no one left. because if we were to go beyond, this one needs to be up to
4.
It's the ground floor plus 3.
3, okay.
Yeah, if you go beyond
4,
4, you are required to provide
exactly.
lift. Yeah, and in a community like that, one is always very careful with lifts. Yeah, because it also comes with these issues and all that. So
maintenance and management and all.
Maintenance and even abuse. People can easily abuse the use of it, and it can create problems. So by the building regulations, we are not required to provide a lift. If you go more than that, you will.
And on that, the issue of maintenance, and one of the challenges we tend to have with a lot of the buildings, even some of our official state facilities, is the issue of maintenance.
Yeah.
How have we incorporated estate management into this particular development?
Yeah, so unlike previous housing, public housing programs, this one we have made estate maintenance and management an integral part of it.
Okay.
Yeah, yesterday with the consultant, when he was speaking, he said even that alone can create a lot of jobs. Yeah, so it's an integral part of it.
And that is going to be contracted to estate management organizations to deal with this one.
Capacity, and they know how to.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And I think, I mean, for all of us, when I heard about this project, I was like, this is good, because I mean, with the landscaping and all of that, it takes care of some of the carbon sensitivities that we are looking at, the carbon credits and all of that.
I can't wait for you to go into Saglemi, because it looks like
I'm going to Saglemi now. I am going to Saglemi.
Let's deal with it.
I am going to Saglemi, and Honorable, the issue of Saglemi is one that has been very troubling to many people, and they are saying, and at least 3 of our callers this morning indicated that if there's Saglemi, why are we moving to Pokwase?
Exactly.
Can't we finish this?
Yeah.
And if there are any fixes, whatever resources we are using here, can't they be used to deal with whatever deficiencies we have with Saglemi?
Yeah.
Why has Saglemi stalled?
First of all, let me make it clear, and I've said it at many platforms. Government is committed to completing or reviving and completing the Saglemi housing project and any other previous housing project that were started but they did not finish, including the President Kufuor affordable housing one, which sometime in his first 4 years, President Kufuor commissioned that of Asokore Mampong, that was given to Senate today, which is finished. So we are but let's come to the issue of Saglemi. In 2012, government contracted a company. When government secured a loan of $200 million for a contractor to build 5,000 housing units. As part of the Saglemi affordable housing program at Saglemi, which is about 2.5 hours from Accra. Okay. At the end of the stipulated contract period, that the houses were supposed to be delivered, 5,000 houses, it was realized that only 1,500 housing units had been built. And even with that, these units were at different stages of completion. Please listen to me carefully.
And this is just 30% of the 5,000.
Well, you understand mathematics, you're able to do that. And I'm hoping your listeners are listening to me carefully. 1,500 houses, and they were at different stages of completion. Some of them were at foundation level. Some of them at 90% complete. Okay. Apart from that, there was no access to water, electricity. So if even there was even a single unit that was fully complete, nobody could live in them. Because I don't think anybody can live in a house where there's no water
and there's no electricity. How about sewage?
There are some sewage issues to there. Okay, so that was when the minister at the time decided to let police investigate all that, and since then police investigation shows that there's something fishy, you need to, ask questions.
You're talking about Hon.Boakye Asensoba?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the advice went to AG's office and it's now in court. But the AG has initiated criminal prosecution against certain individuals. So that is happening. When I assume office and the court processes are started, I saw the permission of the Attorney General that regardless of what is happening in the courts, I want to start the process of reviving the project because a lot has gone in. This is a project that 1,500 units, we had spent 98% of the funds, almost all the 200, just 2% had not been spent. So, but almost.
So we had spent about $197 million.
That's a lot of money, but we were not able to produce that 5,000 houses. Okay, so we started putting professionals, experts in place to look at what can be done to revive the project. There are two cost components that we figured out. The first one is the off-site infrastructure, which means you have to draw water from somewhere to the site. We brought Ghana Water to make an estimate, Community Water and Sanitation Agency to make an estimate. Ghana Water estimate was quite high. Community Water estimated $30 million from the nearest water source to the site to be able to accommodate the number of units there.
$30 million.
Exactly.
For only water.
Only water. Electricity from ECG, it's about 8 million.
80.
8 million, yeah.
8 million.
$8 million. And the hydro people also advised, because that area there's some storm water issues there.
Okay.
Yeah, so we needed 5 million to also do that. Okay. So when everything was put together, including project management, consultancy on it, we needed $46 million to deal with the off-site infrastructure to make the place habitable when the units are ready. Okay. Then we come to the on-site works, because these buildings were at different stages of completion, and also because of the neglect, some had gone bad. We need to repair certain things and all that. That one alone, you needed civil works. It was remedying and completing the uncompleted house units. So it's about $29 million. That's the estimates we were given from public agencies like AESL, Community Water, and all that. There's a need for waste holding bay there, sewage treatment, which according to the experts, 4,000 Ghana cedis. I mean, $4 million. I'm sorry. Then also some development of socio-economic and civic infrastructure. If you want to put 5,000 houses, 1,500 housing units, you want to complete them for human habitation, we need some school there. We need some recreational activities there, like the one that we have done.
And some social amenities.
Exactly. So when you put all these things together, the on-site works is 68 million, and the off-site works is 46
million.
When you sum up, it's 114.
Yes.
That is needed to revive the Saglemi housing project. So, and it was also coming at a time that raising funds in this world now is quite a challenge because of the problems we have been going through the last couple of years. Meanwhile, my program that I had presented to government to build 8,000 housing units was going to cost government $47 million. Would you want to spend $140 million to complete 1,500 houses, or you want to spend $47 million to build the whole community of 8,000 housing units? If you were a manager, Ben, of the economy, would you spend money on the Saglemi when you don't have the money available? I mean, when you have to make a decision out of the scarce resources you have.
I mean, with the facts you've presented, I mean, what has been spent already is sunk cost, and so at this point, I would definitely not go back to Saglemi.
Exactly.
With the facts presented.
So, the cabinet look at it. In fact, cabinet sat on this issue on 3 different occasions, and all these, sometimes I stand on my feet for 4 hours responding to questions from my colleagues and all that. I remember someone said, how are you going to tell Ghanaians that you want to spend 140 million cedis to complete this project? $1 million, actually. Having already spent
about 200 million.
About 200 million. They will say that you another way to steal state funds, to embezzle state funds. So when you look at everything, you realize that it will be better for us to invite a private sector entity to come in, a company that has the resources and the technical know-how. Given the fact that the Saglemi project, we have more lands there, so that the private sector company can just look at this whole thing and build a new community. But you will pay for the facility at current cost. You evaluate and say that if it's 1 cedi, he gives that money to government, takes over and redevelop that whole community and sell it at its own cost without any cost.
Indeed, of course, there are many models that you can consider, one of which you have mentioned, a total sale off at maybe current market value. I mean, you can
those
consider all those models here.
So since then, cabinet took that decision. I quickly set up. I remember when I announced that this is the decision government had taken.
Yeah.
Somebody just said, "Oh, president is going to sell it to his family and friends." I mean, this exactly. So it was important to ensure accountability and transparency at every stage of the process. So I put together technical people from Lands Commission, Ministry of Finance, ESL, Institute of Architecture, Institute of Engineering, to be like a steering committee to steer the affairs, okay, towards the disposing of the facility to the private sector. And they have recommended that we need a transaction advisor to lead us through the process, which we are about to recruit to lead us. So that is the steps that we are taking. And it's important that we make it as transparent as possible so that nobody can come and say that, hey, because for me, my interest is to revise the project and make it work, however difficult it is. And from the analysis, you will realize that it's a very difficult, even, how can you even cite a project at that far? And how many people will be interested in buying it? If you work here at Asaase in Laboni, would you want to live there and buy? I mean, buy and live there and to work. It's going to be difficult.
Yeah.
So even that's why I'm saying that feasibility studies, proper feasibility, were not conducted. If it was conducted, I don't think they would have cited it there. I'm sure they would have cited it at another place. And at that time, there were so many places that why
Saglemi?
Why Saglemi? That place?
You're still trying to find answers to that question.
Yeah.
And because you are here, and Lily Wells, one of our viewers on Facebook, is sending through a question. And I mean, because of the numbers you had provided, indicating that about $46 million required to complete off-site works on just the 1,500 units, which are different levels of completion, as well as 68 million for on-site works. And Lily Wells is asking that, I understand what Hon.Boakye is saying, but government can use the 48 million to do the off-site infrastructure, and then they can start pre-sale and use the proceeds from the sales to do the sewage, give the owners timelines to moving.
That is, but it's not realistic. We look at where Saglemi is. How many people want to go and live there? I mean, people who are working and we are targeting. How many people? It's not realistic. You invest that money and it will take you years forever
to recover.
Exactly.
So
and who is going to do the process? Government. Yeah, the government in these days, especially the NPP government, is not in the business of doing the work that the private sector should do. Marketing houses and selling. People will even think that you are using it for your party people and all that. We don't want to get ourselves involved in those things. And that is why in this new project, we are working with the private sector so that they will just do and sell, so that there will not be any issue of chronism and all that.
So what you are saying, I mean, by way of summary, and for the benefit of our listeners, those who are just joining, we have with us the Honorable Minister for Works and Housing, the Honorable Francis Asensoba, and he's been talking to us about a number of things. Of course, the launch of the National Affordable Housing Program, which we had taking place yesterday at Pokuase, and also the groundbreaking ceremony for the Pokuase Affordable Housing Project, which is, when completed, supposed to be having about 8,000 housing units. And I mean, different housing typologies: 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, a mixed use community with all kinds of amenities, taking notes and learnings from other jurisdictions, how these things have been done. It is the government partnering with the private sector, and so in terms of the actual development of the housing units, it will be executed by established real estate institutions that we know, among which are Rehoboth, Adoha, the State Housing. There's also the Frank Paul's Ventures, and then Def Traco Group Limited. We have gone into the conversations around Saglemi, and the message is simple. The reason we are where we still are is, for one, financial reasons; two, even the marketability of the units should they be completed, and the relative investment. Looking at this national housing project at Pokuase, the resources required for it, about $46 million for all that government has to expend, relative to close to about $140 million to revive the 1,500 unit Saglemi project in terms of what has been even initiated. And so that is why we find ourselves where we are right now. A number of people are concerned about the prosecution arm of this Saglemi issue, and they feel it's been so many years. We are in the 7th year of the MPP being in Parliament, and according to some, there are a number of people who are, if they are really people who are culpable, why is it that after 7 years we are still in court about this matter?
I came to talk about housing. I didn't come to talk about legal issues. I don't know anything about it. We are more committed people to deal with that.
Yes.
Yeah. But I don't want that to be
to be your preoccupation. I mean, Lily Wills went on that as well. But I mean, so Honorable, Saglemi is clearly a problem as we have it. So are we going to just leave it as is?
How can you ask me this question? I've just told you what the government is doing about it. So how can you say that you are going to just leave it? So what I said in the last 20 minutes about Saglemi didn't...
No, Honorable... No, maybe
what
just...
Are you going to
just to clarify.
Told you the steps that we have taken.
Yes.
Yeah, and a transaction advisor is going to lead the process to procure. I've told you all this. So why are you saying that you are going to leave it?
Maybe just to recount, maybe more of a reassurance, and also in terms of timelines, so that people have clarity in their minds when they should be expecting what.
Yeah, we are very soon, the next week or two, we advertise for the transaction advisor. We've gotten PP approval to select about 4 or 5 very reputable, consulting like KPMG, PwC,
yes,
and related institutions. So they once that advisor is selected, then he is going to lead the process, and we can actually provide accurate timelines.
And yesterday we had the Member of Parliament for Bodi, for instance, who I want to believe is part of the Housing and Works Committee in Parliament, raising concerns around the legality of this, because according to them, I mean, for such a project, it has to come to Parliament for a certain approval, and according to them, that has not been done. What is your response to that?
We don't need parliamentary approval for the project. I think he got a point wrong there. You know, the developers, one of them is a foreign company, and because it's a foreign company, you know, the constitution requires that we have to seek parliamentary approval. Yeah, so we are in the process working on that one. But the 4 developers are all Ghanaian owned business, so we don't need parliamentary approval. So once we finish with, yes, they will also start.
So it's not an international economic transaction.
No.
And so you don't need parliamentary approval.
For the project,
and that is the assurance that we should have.
But I'm saying that there's one company, that is a foreign company, who would participate.
Yes.
So they will need parliamentary approval to start.
Okay.
Once we get that, they will start.
Okay, great. Nanaya.
Yes, I wanted to ask you, you've heard a lot about particularly the site at Boakye, but of course the other leg of this, the additional 6,000 units is destined for the Ashanti region. Can you give us some idea of, first of all, what the idea is of where that's going to feed into? Because it is I'm very uncertain of the geography. It's not directly on the outskirts of Kumasi, is it? It's near Lake Bosomtwe.
This is towards Bosomtwe. I don't know if you know Kumasi very well. You know,
not as well as you, clearly.
So when you are going, you know, Daban.
Yes,
Daban is about 10 minutes drive from the Daban
to the Desia.
So it's still within commuting distance of Kumasi. So it's going to be very much like a conurbation, similarly to the Boakye. And do you have any kind of ideas of the timelines yet on that?
That one, we are working on the feasibility.
Okay.
Once that is done and we present our report to Ministry of Finance and they accept it, they give us commencement. Then we start that one.
And again, it's going to work on the same model, public-private partnership with the serviced plots and the bolt-on by the same model.
Yeah. There are 2 projects under the revised affordable housing. That's Boakye and the Deswa. So the same thing.
Right. And just being clear about the timelines for the agreement with the private partners, you are leasing the land to them for what sort of what's the leasehold?
Well, we actually are not listening to them, but we will listen to whoever will buy.
Right.
Once you buy, then they give indication that this person has bought it. Then we process the title for the person.
Okay, so they own the properties. The companies own the properties in permanence. It's not a case of the structures will revert to the state at some point in time after. No. Okay.
And
so secure ownership.
Yes. And Honorable, just to wrap up the conversation, and we are very grateful that you made time. I mean, we know you've been very busy working towards the planning for this launch, and eventually we are here now. I mean, now we have Saglemi out, but we know there were other developments, and by someone like President Kufuor, some of which we've spoken about. I think Asokore Mampong, which we've now got some of them out. All of those other affordable housing projects, which are at different stages of completion, what is our strategy around bringing them upstream as well?
I think there are 2 different ones. The one under Kufuor, which I've told you.
Yes.
Some have been completed already and been sold.
Yeah.
There's one that State House is working on at in Kufuor.
Okay.
That one too. Once they are finished, they will sell. There are one in Tamale and in Wa, which are also working on funds. In our language, they say "enkotie drum any habaya."
No any habaya.
It's kind of what they are in but it's custom.
Okay.
We are committed to doing all that.
Okay.
And a Saglemi.
Okay. Okay.
But you see, the concept has changed
clearly.
And now, even if government doesn't have funds to build a whole house, and it can work with the private sector, and that's the prevailing strategy we are using.
Great. And Honorable, I mean, it's been good, a lot of good education, and the feedback on Facebook, on our WhatsApp portal, is indicative of the fact that, well, people are getting some understanding of what it is clearly the issues are. And Seth Kwabena Safo, for instance, comes through and said, in what context is that positive change in what context is what you are saying in relation to what the Honorable is saying? And this was in relation to an earlier question. And that the fact that, I mean, there's more education now on Saglemi and why we are where we are right now. And we are very eager about seeing the end of this. And so we'll be following up with your office on seeing how eventually the bidding will be like for the various transaction advisors, what is eventually going to come out of it. But your final words to all Ghanaians who are paying a keen, or who are taking a keen interest in the development when it comes to housing in this country, the kinds of assurances we should have that this strategy is going to provide us sustainability when it comes to providing affordable accommodation for the various Ghanaians, especially those within the urban sector.
Yeah, so I just want to assure Ghanaians that we mean what you are saying, and this arrangement, as you indicated, provides some sort of sustainable funding, especially in the supply side, as we work towards finding a very credible mortgage regime because what pertains abroad, the Western countries, it makes housing development rather easy because there's a credible mortgage regime. My uncle Kwabena Sapon sent me something from Tema that we should be able to provide mortgage for like 30 years to 40 years. If that is available, then we are home and dry. That is the main challenge. A couple of months ago, when I was speaking in Abuja, when housing ministers met, I implored on finance minister to critically looking at raising long-term capital for the banks to be able to provide long mortgage arrangement. If, for instance, whatever you earn today at your current job, if you can pay for over 40 years, then everybody can access housing. It's because that is not there. That is why we are facing huge challenge. Okay, so as our economy improves and we're able to access this long-term capital, because the current banks that we have are pretty much commercial banks. Their major source of funds is the little mega sums we are put there.
They are depositing.
They are depositing. So that cannot provide long-term capital. So in the long term, that's what we have to look at. Once we have that, our housing needs will be addressed. And majority of that's why in America or in Europe, when you are working, have a decent job, everybody can access housing. Is that not the case in the UK? Yes. So that's what. So, but for now, what the system that we have put in place, at least can provide some sustainable funding for the supply side, so that many of our working class who earn, a bit higher than the average can also find a place to. What we are doing, it also helps to ensure orderly development. Because if we're able to have this kind of communities in many parts of the country, many of the problems that we are facing, for instance, flooding. We are flooding because we are experiencing flooding because our communities are not well planned. Anybody builds anywhere, building on waterways. And even when you are not building on waterway, your architectural design is such that every part of your building is cemented.
Yes.
And therefore, when it rains, it leads to runoff. And
there's no seeping of the water.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So what we are doing is a good cause. We are a developing country. We have a problem, and we have started addressing our problems incrementally. You need the support of people. Sometimes when you read social media, just rubbish it. Whatever you are done, sometimes for political expediency and all that, but you don't need that. When it comes to development, let's not politicize it. And that's why I was quite disappointed when my friends from the minority just did a press conference and without looking at the issues, just say anything to score political points. We don't need all that. If there's an issue that we have to deal with, we have to ask that question. We are prepared to deal. But just to play to the gallery that it's illegal, the whole project is illegal and all that, it's quite unfortunate. You don't need that.
It is. Yeah. It is indeed. And Honorable, we want to thank you very much again. I mean, for making time to talk to us. This being your first time in the studio, we hope to be seeing you a bit more often. So we can have some of these developmental conversations, not just housing, but the other works, the various works which are ongoing in the country, and because especially at a development stage, works will be one of those important things.
I mean, flooding issues are issues that are very important.
Yes.
Maybe another time we will also find time.
We'll
Recently, I was called before Parliament to talk about the steps that we are making. Every year, the perennial flooding is a big issue. Government is doing quite a lot. I mentioned in Parliament that the NPP government has invested more than any other government to fight flooding. In the first 4 years of Akufo-Addo administration, he invested or committed $450 million to fight flooding of government of Ghana money. It hasn't happened before. No, it's unprecedented. But regardless of the amount of money government commits to fighting flooding, if we do not change our attitude, we're building on waterways, throwing refuse down, solid waste into our drainage channels, we can never solve it. So it's a collective responsibility, and everybody must play his part. The role of the district assembly is very central to the issue of flood mitigation, and we implore on them to do their best, because planning in this country is decentralized. The Constitution of Ghana, the Local Government Act, empowers the district assembly as the highest planning authority, and therefore that when you want to build, you have to first of all seek a building permit. No, before building permit, the development permit. The development permit will tell you where to build, and therefore, if the area is earmarked as a reserve area, a swampy area, water reserve area, you don't have to build there. Then, when you also build, you need a building permit that will make sure that you have the right architectural design to make sure that it meets all the standards in the building regulation. So you can find time and also deal with it.
We will find time. We will definitely find time, and then we'll come and find you.
Thank you.
And then we'll come and find you. Thank you very much. We've been talking to the Honorable Minister for Works and Housing, Honorable Francis Asensoba. He's also the Member of Parliament for Bantama. We call them Florida. And so all of you listening to us on Asaase 98.5 in Kumasi, Honorable sends his greetings. And Honorable, thank you once again for joining us on the Asaase Breakfast Show.
Okay, sure.
Thank you for watching. Like, comment, share, and subscribe.